What's going on, everyone? I am the Kilted Cajun, but hey, you already knew that because you came to my channel. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Tonight, I just got to finish watching the second episode of The Last of Us on HBO Max, and I have no idea why I'm trying to do some sort of radio voice because that's not really my voice. Anyway, before I get into spoilers, want to have a little preliminary discussion. Then I'm gonna get into spoilers, talk about the episode, and maybe a little bit afterwards. So this might be a long one. I have no idea. So my reviews are gonna start with episode 2 because episode 1, myself and Hoshiro discussed it on Fireside Chat Tuesday. We're going to be doing the exact same thing this Tuesday because, well, hey, I'm enjoying this. We'll have a link in the channel. We do the live stream on this channel that you're at right now, and the live stream will be downloaded and moved over to our channel, the Dumpster-Fireside Chat. I'm going to get it right eventually. I'll have a link in the description. So, one of the things, a few of the channels that I follow, they talked about the changes in Joel and how he's, I don't know, weak, cucked, how Tess was pretty much bossing him around, everyone was bossing him around. And I guess as a normie, because I didn't play this much of the game, I didn't play the first game. I'm going to change that. I know I said that before, but I don't think Joel was weak. He may have been a little more emotionally unstable, maybe not like the game, but I'm judging this from a normie's perspective. I don't believe Joel was weak. In the first episode, people were visibly scared of Joel. Just Tess mentioning it. The guy that beat her up in the first episode. Oh, spoilers, yeah, from the first episode, but hey, you should have watched it already. He was legitimately scared of Joel. He obviously has a reputation with everyone in the town, with the military, as being able to get things for people when necessary, so obviously he can go out into the wilderness, into the quarantine. And at one point, one of the guys, some firefly, walks up to him and he just looks at him and says, "If you say anything about going into the light, I'll break your jaw." So I think the relationship between him and Tess was more of a cooperative relationship, for sure. It goes more into that in this episode. There were a couple of parts in this episode that I'll get into in the spoilers. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. I think it gave a little bit of backstory, a little world building. So, again, as usual, I'm going to go ahead and recommend it. We're going to get into spoilers. Spoilers. 1, 2. So, we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2. The first 9 minutes of this episode. So let's first of all, it's shown as to be an hour long. It is not an hour long. The first 9 minutes, no. First 2 minutes is recap, then 1 minute of intro, and 5 minutes of credit. 5 minutes of credits, and they go into some behind the scenes stuff, which I highly recommend. Stick around after the credits for sure. If you're going to watch the episode, watch the things they talk about. I think they're interesting for sure. So all in all, you're really looking at about 51 minutes. So the first 9 minutes is a flashback to 2003, September 24th, 2003, in Jakarta, Indonesia. In here, it starts off with military police showing up at a diner to take a woman away. This woman is a mycologist. I guess, someone who looks into fungus and molds and mildew and stuff like that. And they have her looking at a slide under a microscope. She recognizes it as the cordyceps, and asks a question, and they mention it being a human specimen. She's a little shocked by this because cordyceps do not exist in humans. This is playing more on the opening of the first episode with the scientist on the talk show talking about what would happen. Her solution to how to combat this infection, this spread, this fungus, is to bomb the city. So that gives you more of an idea of the danger and the futility of trying to contain this pandemic, I guess you would call it. I don't know. to stop the cordyceps. You can see the fear. The actress was great. Fast forward to present day. Ellie sleeping in an abandoned building, of course, because every building's abandoned. Joel and Tess are watching over her, guns pointed at her. Anything she moves, they're going to shoot her. They're keeping an eye on her, despite the fact that her wound is completely healed and she hasn't turned into any sort of nasty, nasty little thing. But Ellie spills it. They pressure her into explaining why she's still alive. Ellie spills the beans, so she apparently is immune. Joe still wants to shoot her or take her back to the city. Now, at this point, Tess has to convince Joel to keep going with the mission to find the little outpost with the fireflies. And this could be another scene where you could see that Joel is just kowtowing to what Tess wants him to do. I can understand some judgment in that idea, but I don't know. Having to, the fact that Joel would just be fine with shooting her right in the face, right where she stands with no problem. I don't know. I don't see that as Joel being weak. Tess has to convince him after a little bit, but ends up in the end convincing Joel to continue on with it. They go out into the city, pass up some bombed out ruins, and I couldn't help. They passed up a police car, and the first thing I thought of was like, why are you passing up the loot? They keep on passing up the loot because I have the video game brain. Moving through the city, there's no infected or whatever you want to call them, no runners to be found. And Ellie makes a few comments that the way everyone else talks about is like that the quarantine zone is just filled and filled and filled with infected running everywhere and how dangerous it is. And, well, it's nice and quiet. So, who knows? They realize they have to cut through a hotel. Getting through the hotel, walking through the water, Ellie runs into a dead body and she gets freaked out. They make their way through the water, go up to the top floor. There's some dialogue. Ellie's asking Joel some questions he's not interested in answering. But then they show a scene from the balcony. And it shows just a massive group of infected on the ground, just writhing around like a mobile fungus almost. And that's when I believe Tess brings up the idea that they're all connected, like some sort of forest wood wide web, which is one of the comments that they make in the after credits, the behind the scenes stuff, to give you an idea that it's all interconnected. Anything that's alive, something, you step on an infected, and all of a sudden you've announced yourself to a miles and mile radius to all the other ones in the area, and they'll just suddenly come after you. Get something to drink. They realize that they're not going to be able to go through the hotel. So once they realize that, it's a jump cut to a museum. Was the jump cut necessary? They've already walked through the city a good bit, so they've downplayed the danger of the city to an extent. They go into the museum and Ellie finds a freshly dead thing. Come to find out, there's a couple of clickers inside this building, and they showcase the clickers and how it's dangerous. They have to stay quiet. The prosthetic makeup is fantastic. I'm sure people who have played the game are going to love this part, enjoy this scene to an extent, but they try to make their way through one of the display rooms, and when they go into the room, of course, it's almost like a scene from a video game. The hall they just came through completely collapses, makes a shit ton of noise, so all of a sudden you have two clickers tracking them down in the room. They're standing there completely motionless. Oh, Ellie, Joel, and Tess are standing there motionless and quiet. Ellie has her eyes closed. The clickers are making their way around the room, trying to find out what the sound came from. And at one point, lo and behold, Ellie opens her eyes, makes a panicked intake of breath, and the clicker turns around and screams at him, and my internet went out. It was almost like one of those jump cut scenes you would see on regular TV for a commercial. I actually thought they had paused the show to jump to something else, but no, I looked down at my internet shit on me. I reload my internet and fight back and forth. They escape, make it to uh they make it to the top of the building where they walk across a little plank. Tess is actually absolutely becoming bossy, impatient, ordering Joel around, just being a real cunt. And I realize, oh, they've made it to a safe room where you can rest in a video game. This is what This is what I'm thinking when I'm watching this scene. Oh, all I can think of is, well, it's a safe room. So after a little while, they make their way to the meeting. Tess is limping. She twisted her ankle. They fix her up. They finally make their way to the meeting, and everyone's dead. Everybody's dead. They go inside the building where they're supposed to meet, and apparently it's some sort of outpost. And there's dead people all over the place, freshly dead, everywhere. There's equipment. There's like guns and supplies, and again, they don't pick up any loot. They don't check any of the boxes. No looting anything, extra grenades and stuff like that. Nope. And of course, Tess, golly, I'm gonna get these names right, people. Tess is panicking, wondering what the hell's going on. They gotta move on. Joel wants to go back. Tess does not want to. She's just flustered and impatient, and Ellie comes to a realization that Tess has been infected. Sure enough, Tess is infected. Has the bite on her arm, and Joel looks a little distraught about it. Again, Tess has to convince him to go on. That perhaps Ellie really is the key to everything, which is the game. So anybody complaining about that, and that's like, just go play the game. We all know this. Ellie is the key to everything. Tess, in order to convince Joel, starts dumping what I can only assume to be gasoline all over the floor, grenades. Tess has decided that she's going to sacrifice herself in order to give them more time, because one of the dead bodies starts to move because it's infected with the fungus, with the spores. So Joel goes over, shoots him in the head, and the little tendrils come up, and all of a sudden everything, all the things that they saw laying on the ground, get up and start coming after him. So Tess has to do something. Joel has to make a decision. He makes the decision. There's no lovey-dovey moment. There's no goodbye. There's no grab Ellie, time to go. Which, I don't know how it was in the game. Let me know. How accurate is this to the game? So Ellie and Joel make it out. Tess is finally able to get that ladder clicked while she's making out with one of the infected, and kaboom! That's how the episode ends. Something I've noticed in this episode, one of the complaints some people had, and I kind of found it really, really weird, that in the first episode, when Joel beats the military guy probably to death, pushes his face in with his fist, Ellie has this look of sadistic glee on her face, like she's enjoying the beatdown. Well, this episode, Ellie did not have that look at all throughout the episode. It was a look of fear, terror. What the hell are we going to do? I wonder, was that just a fuck up in the first episode? You know, where they allowed Bella Ramsey to get that look on her face to just, I don't know, that just looked really, really creepy. So, second episode down, I'm enjoying it. It looks like they're following a good bit of the game. Now, in the inside the episode part at the end of the show that you should watch, they brought up one of the changes. Well, they showed off the prosthetics of the clickers. Barry Gower prosthetics, fantastic look. I love, any practical effects will always be better than CG, no matter what. At least, practical effects are awesome. What I thought was interesting is that they got the actors that they got to play the clickers were fans of the game. I thought that was important. I thought that was good. Because if they were fans of the games, They knew how they walked. They were familiar with the movement, so they could mimic it as they were acting. But what they mentioned, one of the changes to the spores, which I guess kind of made sense, is that instead of having the spores be airborne and you could get it from saliva, from being bitten, and airborne, they changed it from being airborne into these tendrils, which actually apparently do exist in fungus in nature. They changed it to that to make it more believable. I brought up the word verisimilitude a few times in a few videos. It is the believability of what you're watching. Batman has verisimilitude because you believe that a billionaire playboy could have the resources to learn the things he does and acquire the technology he does because he's just got the money. He's got all kinds of money. How believable what you see on TV in any piece of entertainment will affect your enjoyment. If it's absolutely outrageous, sure, Superman's not going to be coming around, flying around, but the way they explain it in the show makes sense. So here, you're not going to believe that an airborne fungus is going to be, and they bring this, and he even says this on inside the episode, an airborne fungus is not going to sit in one area without spreading. It's, you touch it, poof, the air takes it away, and it'll be far more widespread. In the effect of these tendrils, what they call the wood wide web, it can be more isolated. Sure, it can be spread out over an entire city, but the idea that it's more isolated, just different, like, I guess the difference between the distance between cities is comparable. I think I got that right. But anyway, I did enjoy the episode. I like where they're going. I don't think Joel is weak. He may be, maybe that's because I didn't play the game. I got to change that. But let me know what you think. I'm going to be talking about this more with Hashiro on Tuesday night. I hope you join us on the live stream. And hey, we're going to easily get into it more, and I'm going to stop rambling. Y'all have a good one. I hope to see you on the next one. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you so choose. I appreciate you sticking around for this long. Have a good one.